Earthworms are the lifeblood of healthy soil. They open tunnels for air and water, recycle organic matter, and leave behind castings that act as slow-release fertilizer. Yet, many gardeners wonder why their raised beds remain strangely lifeless, with few or no worms in sight. The answer is often not the absence of worms in your area, but the conditions you've created. Certain mistakes, often made with good intentions, can drive worms out or even kill them. If you want raised beds that teem with life, these 7 mistakes must be understood and avoided. Adding raw manure creates toxic conditions. Fresh manure looks like a gift to the soil, but for worms it can be deadly. Chicken, cow, or horse manure that hasn't been composted is often loaded with ammonia and salts. Worms breathe through their skin, and these compounds burn and suffocate them almost instantly. The safer route is to compost manure until it has lost its sharp smell and taken on a crumbly, earthy form. This process can take 3 to 6 months, depending on the type of manure. Once stable, you can safely mix it into soil or spread it as a top dressing at a ratio of 1 part manure to 3 parts compost. Done correctly, worms will rush to it as a steady food source rather than flee from it. Overusing lime makes soil uninhabitable. Many gardeners are told that lime sweetens acidic soil and helps plants grow, but overuse creates another problem. Worms thrive in soil that is close to neutral, usually in the range of 6.5 to 7.5. When lime is applied in excess, the soil swings too far alkaline, burning worm skin and killing the microbes that worms depend on for food. The smart approach is to test soil before adding lime. If pH correction is needed, apply lightly and in stages. A gentler long-term option is crushed eggshells, added slowly so they buffer acidity without shocking the worms or destabilizing the microbial balance. Relying on chemical fertilizers drives worms away. Fast-acting chemical fertilizers seem like an easy shortcut to feed plants, but they create an environment worms cannot tolerate. High concentrations of synthetic nitrogen and salts draw moisture from worm bodies and disrupt the biological life in soil. Gardeners may notice lush plant growth at first, but beneath the surface, worms disappear. A healthier choice is to switch to organic slow-release feeding. Well-aged compost, worm castings, fish emulsion, or diluted seaweed solutions all supply nutrients in forms that build soil life. This approach keeps worms thriving, and in turn, their castings help sustain your plants in a natural cycle. Dumping citrus and onion waste creates worm-free zones. Kitchen scraps can be gold for the garden, but not all scraps are equal. Large amounts of citrus, peels, garlic, or onion waste are acidic and antibacterial, making the soil inhospitable. Worms will avoid these zones, leaving you with unevenly active soil. The solution is to compost these scraps separately until they are fully broken down. Once the acidity is mellowed, you can safely mix them back into garden soil. If you want to feed worms directly, focus on softer scraps like melon rinds, banana peels, or leafy greens that decompose quickly and encourage worm activity rather than repel it. Sprinkling wood ash without care dries and harms worms. Wood ash is rich in potassium and can raise soil pH, but used carelessly, it harms worms. Its fine particles dry the soil surface, and when it touches worms directly, it interferes with their moisture balance. Worse still, large doses push the soil too alkaline. If you want the benefits of wood ash, limit its use to about 1 cup per square foot, always mixing it thoroughly with compost before adding it to the raised bed. For a safer long-term strategy, many gardeners turn to biochar. When properly charged with compost tea or manure, biochar becomes a stable soil amendment that supports microbes and provides habitat for worms. Overloading with coffee grounds suffocates worms. Coffee grounds are often praised as worm food, and in moderation they can be. The problem comes when gardeners add too much. Fresh grounds are acidic, and when piled in thick layers, they compact into a dense mat that heats up and excludes air. Worms avoid or die in these areas. The safe way to use coffee grounds is to treat them as part of a balanced mix. Keep them under 20% of any compost blend, and always combine with carbon-rich materials like shredded leaves or straw. Applied this way, grounds are beneficial, and worms process them without harm. Bringing in residues contaminated with pesticides kills worms. Perhaps the most devastating mistake is adding organic matter contaminated with chemical residues. Lawn clippings from treated grass, straw sprayed with fungicides, or even compost from unknown sources may contain chemicals that linger in the soil. Worms absorb toxins through their skin and gut, and once contaminated, soil life collapses. To prevent this, source inputs carefully. If you aren't sure of their safety, compost them separately for several months before considering them for raised beds. Clean organic matter is the key to maintaining worm-rich soil over time. Healthy raised beds should be alive with worms, but that life depends on the decisions you make as a gardener. Adding raw manure, overusing lime, relying on chemical fertilizers, dumping acidic scraps, misusing wood ash, overloading coffee grounds, or bringing in contaminated residues are 7 common mistakes that wipe out worm populations. By avoiding them and instead building soil with clean compost, balanced organic matter, and careful amendments, you create an environment where worms thrive. Their presence ensures your raised beds remain fertile, loose, and productive season after season. If this guide gave you value, subscribe to Soil Doctor and share it with fellow gardeners who want their soil alive with worms. Together we can restore the living soil that healthy gardens depend on.